Da, da, theme song, theme song. Da, da, da.
Hi, I'm Tanya,
I'm Nikki.
and we're A Thousand Eyes on One, the podcast.
Podcast. We're back.
We are back for more House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 2, Rhaenyra the Cruel.
Rule.
To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One. If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.
So I have a colon under this episode, or actually, no, fuck that. I retitled it. This I am calling the How Fucking Dare You episode. Because I cannot. I think that, you know what, you guys, we're going to make this a drinking game. Every time I say, fuck Kristen Cole, take a drink. So we'll give you now a moment to pause and go get a beverage of your choice. Oh, I don't care what the alcohol content is. It could be 2.5, it could be 40. But yeah, that's how many times it says it in my fucking notes. And I will be swearing profusely every time he comes up, maybe creatively. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see where this takes us.
So now we begin. Fuck Kristen Cole.
That's one shot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The episode picks up pretty much where we left off.
Mm-hmm.
The Red Keep is in complete chaos. It looks like they're rounding up all the servants, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Rousing them from their beds and ushering them into one room so nobody can sneak off.
Right.
But it makes me wonder, like, how few people know about the tunnels and the secret entrances.
I would imagine that people know they exist,
Mm-hmm.
but don't know their way around them.
Right. Or maybe
Be-
even how to access them.
right. I don't think people know how to access them. People don't know where they are, but people know they exist because Magor the Cruel, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's a known story about him having the tunnels built and then murdering all the builders.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know that, but Magor the Cruel had the Red Keep built lots of secret tunnels and then didn't want anyone to know where those tunnels were. So he had a huge feast for all the builders and then murdered all of them.
It's given the red wedding.
Yeah, very, very much Red Wedding vibes. Like,
Oh,
thank
what
you
a
for your
rap
work.
party.
Exactly. It's the worst rat party of all time.
Good
Great
Lord.
job, guys. So you're going to die now.
And it makes me wonder, like, because as far as we know, like later in the episode they don't go say, oh, this guy was like sneaking around the tunnels and the secret passageways. And it makes me wonder, like, who becomes privy to that information. Like, we know Damon knows, we know Rhaenyra now knows because Damon was sneaking her in and out of brothels. But is this something that
Rainey's
you're
just found out when she was being snuck out. So Sir
exactly?
Eric knew.
So
Well, they
Sir
weren't
Eric
in the
knew.
tunnels. They were in some other passageway. It wasn't the
Yeah.
tunnels.
Like, I want to know how that information is passed down. Like, how, because it would be a shame for that knowledge to go to waste, you know? And
Yeah.
also, who has the big enough balls or, pusses to be like, ooh, let me explore these tunnels. Let me take a little spring and find my way around like the
Right.
Minotaur, you know? Because
Right.
what if you get lost? Because Arya sure did. She wouldn't have been able to get out if she hadn't followed Varys and
Right.
Forkbeard.
And Varys knew the tunnels,
Mm-hmm.
probably thanks to his little spiders, which
That's
makes you wonder how his little birds, rather,
his little birds, yeah.
which makes you wonder how many of them he lost in the tunnels.
That's what I was just to say. Like, did he just give them up to the gods? He's like, "Hey, make it back. I give you candy. If not, whoops. It's for the good. It's for the good of the realm." Because
um,
let's not forget he was going to poison Daenerys, or he tried.
right. They're rounding up all the servants. Aegon is rightfully enraged. I
Raged. Oh
hated
my
seeing
god.
him smash Viserys's sculpture though.
Yep. I was like, you know what? He's literally causing the destruction of what Viserys built. Like, let's
Yeah.
talk about the poetry and the symbolism there,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
tearing apart his legacy. Is that foreshadowing of things to come? Yeah,
I
probably.
believe
But
so.
I felt so bad for him because like his kid was killed right under his nose
In his
and
own bed,
in his own bed.
in the place where he's supposed to be most protected.
Hmm. Just like, it reminds me of a certain king who saw assassins in every single shadow. Stormlight reference. But also there are plenty of Targaryen kings who felt the same. Yeah, it really hurt me to see him just like, just devastated, because we don't know what kind of father he was, but he wanted to include his baby in small council meetings and stuff. Um, I wouldn't go as far as to say he was doting, but you could tell that he loved the kid. Like partial love and just partial, just like a violation of security, which get ready. Fuck Kristen Cole.
And I mean, there must be guilt that comes with it. I would
Oh,
feel very guilty if I was getting drunk with my homies while my kid
yeah.
was being murdered. Even though it's like, it's not my fault. It had nothing to do with me. Just, I don't know. I would still just feel guilty.
Like Dalinar. Number two.
Yeah, it's like here I was having a great time and I don't know that my baby's being murdered upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I'm
I
like
find
talking about like how my stylings.
yeah,
I want to be the magnanimous. Do I want to be the dragon cock? Like
right,
your
and
baby's
and again it
literally
has he didn't do anything. He's not at fault in any way.
no, no. But your
But
baby's upstairs getting his head sawed off with a butter knife. Like, yikes.
yeah, so yeah, yeah, that's a lot. So anyway, he's rightfully enraged. They're lucky he didn't just murder the whole castle.
Yeah, for real.
Alicent, on the other hand, is blaming her sins for what happened. She believes she's being punished by the gods, which way to make it about you.
Bitch, for real. This is not a word I use, even though like the Brits use it very often, but I'm going to reclaim cunt for this episode because in my notes, it's Alicant from now on. That's how I feel about it.
Alicant. Oh no.
Alicant. Mm-hmm.
But she's grieving, which of course, I'm sure she feels guilty too. She was riding dick while her grandbaby was being murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she's feeling awful, and again, she's blaming herself for her
Yeah.
sins, her sinful ways.
I mean, she was right in the dick of the Lord Commander of the King's Guard, fuck Kristen Cole. And, like, oh God, I can't with him. And this is a situation where Otto, we have problems with, but I really respected the way that he was struggling to balance like triple duties. He's trying to be the hand of the king, he's trying to be a dad, he's trying to be a grandfather all at the same time. And he's just like, fuck, okay, this is terrible, but what are we going to do now?
You
How can
know,
we turn shit into gold?
who it reminded me of? Chris
Ooh.
Jenner.
Oh,
It reminded
interesting.
me of Chris Jenner. In an interview once, she was talking about Kim K's sex tape.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, as her mother, I wanted to kill her, but as her
Yeah,
manager, and I was like, oh shit.
right.
Basically, she was like, I had to make the best of it.
Yeah.
And
And
she
that,
did.
yeah, she sure did.
She,
She sure did. Like
there's,
each one of those children are famous now.
yeah, like you can't get her unfucked. You can't get the tape, you know,
Yeah,
erased. It's out there. Everybody knows about it. So now what do we do? And
is that
she,
the moral of this episode? You can't be unfucked.
yeah, it's like that joke. Like, what's the difference? What's the difference between a pregnant woman and a light bulb? You heard that before?
No, but I know the punchline.
Yeah, you can unscrew a light bulb. So yeah,
Wow.
anyway, it reminded me of Chris Jenner. It's like, here's a shitty situation. It
Hmm.
cannot be undone. So what now?
Dude, I
What
was
how can I
so,
how can I make the best of this and at least get something positive out of it?
yeah. And she's just like, the child's pain is ended, which is implying that like her pain, Alicant's pain, has just begun. And then she's like, oh yeah, my daughter.
What they did to my girl.
Like, yo, are you fucking kidding? Can you tell me, remind me what the Lannister's name is? Is it
Thailand.
Tyland? So Tyland Lannister would, when Aemon is like, wait, could have I'm sorry, when Egon is like raging about it, and he was like, wait, you too? They tried to kill you too? And I was like, that's not the fucking point.
Oh my
And I
God.
was like, yo, why don't you just keep your mouth shut in small council meetings? Like, what is your expertise actually, is my question. Um it's so funny. I love him. I love him for comic relief. I really do.
Because he just seems so like bumbling.
Yeah, but Egon is right. You know, it's like that was his son. That was his legacy. That was the heir to the throne.
And also, they don't know who did it. We know who did it. We know that
Mm-hmm.
they were just there to kill a kid, to kill a son, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't know that. The killer
Mm-mm.
could still be in the walls.
Could be.
Any one of them could be at risk. The king could absolutely still be at risk. The other child could still be at risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and when he asked, what's his name? Kristen Cole. When
Fuck
he asked
Kristen
him, "Where
Cole.
were you?" The look on Allison's face,
Mm-hmm.
terrified.
Self-serving bitch.
She,
And what does he say? He was abed after having assigned the night's watch. I was like, a bed, being a straddled, being a grinded, being a fucked. No, Kristen Cole. Fuck
I
you.
mean, yeah, he. I mean, he can't say where he really was.
No, of course not. But we know what he was doing.
And we
And
we talked about the lack of security in Helena's quarters too, which
yeah,
comes up later.
which comes up later.
Um, but yeah, Aegon's asking the right questions. Like, where the fuck were you? You
Mm-hmm.
know, where were the people who were doing the night's watch? You know, like
Yeah.
heads needed to roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And in this point, I'm absolutely on Aegon's side. Like
Me
heads need to
too.
roll.
Like still, fuck the greens. But yeah, absolutely. You know what? I just like give a shout out to this entire episode for real. But like in these moments, I feel like my favorite actor, the best, the award for best acting in this episode goes to Egon and Otto.
Mm,
Just like from beginning to end, I just felt like everything that they were feeling. And like Egon acted his ass off. It's not just that he was smashing things, it's not just that he was raging. It's just I'm suddenly feeling for somebody that I actually dislike.
right, right.
Like I
Yeah,
never had that feeling for Joffrey.
I definitely felt like for most of the episode I was on his side. And
Mm-hmm.
he's blaming Rhaenyra, and they're like, "Well, we don't know it's Rhaenyra, but like it's Daemon, and so by extension, it's Rhaenyra."
That's Rhaenyra.
Unfortunately,
Whether or not she gave the okay.
right? It's coming from Rhaenyra's camp.
Mm-hmm.
So like, he's an idiot, but he's not stupid. He
Yeah.
knows like who else would have sent somebody to kill the heir,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. To kill anyone in the royal family, truly.
Right. Because who else is he at war with? Nobody.
Nobody.
Well, the killer is immediately caught trying to leave
Wait,
the
wait, wait. Can we still let me go. Let's go back.
uh-huh.
How does Laris have the authority to just walk into a small council meeting?
So apparently in this show, he is a master of whispers. It's different from the books because in the books, I don't think that's a title until Varys comes along.
Mm-hmm.
But in this
Mm-hmm.
case, he's not part of the small council, but he's basically like Lord Torturer and Master of
Yeah.
Whispers.
My note here is Tommy, what's your job?
He ain't got no job.
Right? Just like traipsing around. And that's when I realized I was like, oh, when Otto's like, you have your arts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Can you imagine also just like we know that Helena was there, right? We know that she ran as they're like, just decapitating her child. But can you imagine coming back to a crib with a decapitated baby's body?
Oh my God.
Just like how terrible is that?
Well, I don't think
Ugh.
she went back to it. I'm
No, no,
sure.
not her. I'm just like
Oh, but like the
anybody.
people who had to clean it up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, later on, Kristen Cole can't even look at the mattress.
Oh,
That's
that's why I call
dangerous.
it the "How dare you" episode. Fuck you, Kristen Cole.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. But as I was saying, the killer's caught. Blood is caught trying to leave with the child's head because he wanted to deliver it. Which again, what the fuck? You have a head in a bag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Gross. Um,
just leaking.
ugh. And
It's making me remember just like Perseus and like Medusa, and he's just like taking the head and just like the drops. Anyways, whatever. That's mythology, but yeah, very gruesome.
Aegon is arguing that he doesn't want to be seen as weak.
Mm-hmm.
And Otto tells him, "You're already seen as weak." And then he lists
Bitch.
off the things that have
He
recently happened to make him seem weak, which I was like,
yeah,
shush, she's kicking me while I'm down already.
yeah, but he's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong. And we know that the small people traffic in omens, and it's just like, no, he's right. Like a dragon escaped
Right.
while you were being
A hasty coronation. The king's body isn't even cold yet, and
mm-mm,
you're having your coronation, which means you had to sneak and hurry up.
mm-hmm.
A dragon escapes. Small folk were obviously killed when that dragon
It's
was
like on the
escaping.
same flyer. Yo, the king is dead, and we have a new king. Come through.
Right. Usually the king dies, there's a mourning period, and
Mm-hmm.
then the new king is coronated. And so obviously it doesn't look good that, you
No.
know, 5 o'clock the next morning, you're rounding up the whole city to have this quick coronation. Like there's no feast planned. It's just like we're all
Mm-hmm.
going to the dragon pit and we're gonna just do this, knock this shit out real quick.
Yeah.
Rhaenys escapes, and it's like, why did she need to escape?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, there's gonna be questions. We're small folk in real life. Like we
Yeah.
gossip about shit.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if like the if if instead of like that period between November and January, like the next president was inaugurated November 7th?
Yeah, dude.
It'd be like, wait, what just happened?
What just happened? This is like,
Why are we rushing this? Like, what are you guys hiding from
mm-hmm.
us?
Exactly. Exactly. And Otto's like, you know what? Let's tell a huge little white lie of opportunity, Like this is our chance to turn the tides in our favor. Like your child was murdered in his bed. Let his body be paraded. He's like, he's a prince. He deserves this procession, but we all know it's just like I mean, yes, he's capitalizing it because Otto has, he's farsighted with his vision. He knows how this can help,
Because he's the
but
Chris Jenner of Westeros.
because he's the Chris Jenner of Westeros. And Allison's like, oh, son, you know what? He's right. We kind of have to do it.
We
Until
know that
Otto's like,
Allison's gonna do whatever her dad says still.
yeah. But also he's like, you know what? You need to be on that wagon. And she's like, wait, 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 wait. Me? No, 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 no. Just the baby, right? And he's like, nah, bitch. You gentle women need to walk. And I'm like, I feel like this is the beginning of her connecting these actions to her penance. Like she's like, okay, penance, penance, penance. Because even Cersei was marched through the streets.
Of course, a
Probably down that
very
down
different
that
way.
same path, different circumstances, but like, that's what it reminded me of. Like your shame is on display. People don't know it, but your shame is on display as you're being marched through the streets of King's Landing.
Right.
Hmm. Poor Helena.
Yeah, she deserves some awards too because she was fucking killing it.
Oh my God. Yes.
I was feeling, we'll get to that scene. But yeah. So they want to have this funeral. Of course, Aegon says no, which I would have said no as well. You're not I get what Otto's trying to do, but I also understand Aegon being against his kid being paraded through the streets, his kid's body
Mm-hmm.
being paraded through the streets for
As a
political
political tool.
advantage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
again, I was siding with Aegon on this. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're having a funeral. Helena, who is understandably traumatized, does not want to do
Smelling her
this.
baby's cloak when we come upon her.
So is that the shroud that she was making in the
Oh.
previous episode?
Oh, I would have to go back and look.
I think it might have been.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look.
I can't say for sure, but I think it might have been
Poor
the thing that she
Helena.
was embroidering. So she
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize it, but she was making her own child's shroud.
Yeah.
Um, which again, so horrifying. This is such a
Mm-hmm.
horrifying war. Um, Alicent tries to address, what Helena saw. Helena is
This
in no
bitch.
mood.
Oh
Like,
my
bitch, it's
God.
not the time for
It's
this.
not the time for this. Helena's like, basically, I don't want to be a pawn. Why do I have to do this? And Allison's like, you know what you saw? I was like, ho, Her son is dead. Fuck your twat secrets. Nobody cares. Her baby is dead. And she
Right.
knows what she saw, but she doesn't care because her baby is dead.
Right. Like that's the furthest thing from her mind right now is walking in on her mom getting dicked down. Like that, like she just her baby's head just got sawed off. Like, you know what I mean? Her throat
Yeah.
was almost cut. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about you getting dicked down. We can address that next month.
Dude. Dude. Like, how selfish are you?
Right.
How selfish. And it's
And
just like
again,
when
it's
you have
it's
secrets, you have to be afraid of them coming out. So
yeah,
maybe you should act right.
yeah. The funeral procession, first of all, I was not expecting to see the kid with the head sewn back on.
Yeah, that's my note. The stitches. And then I had a bunch of questions.
That was very
So,
disturbing.
yeah.
And shout out to the Silent Sisters for cleaning him up so well.
So that's my note here is that do silent sisters have nightmares? Like how does one become? Is there like do you feel called to do this? Is there like a job board where they're like, "Oh shit, that is what I want to do in life." Like how do you get to be?
Some people get sent to the Silent Sisters as punishment.
Oh, like the wall.
Hmm.
Like what do you have to do to get sent there?
You know, some wayward women who can't keep it together get sent to the Silent Sisters
And so because they can't keep it together, they are expected to keep it
to be
together
able to, right.
to sew babies' heads back to their bodies.
Like, this it's just
Okay.
too
Yeah.
disturbing.
My friend's ex-wife is a mortician, and my cousin used to work. Like I have actually my little sister does autopsies and stuff because she's trained to be a forensic pathologist, and it's just like, whoa, you know, whoa. I don't know what I could do if you brought me the head of a baby, and yeah, nah, nah, nah.
No, I would have this episode, I was
That's what I'm
dreaming
saying. Do
about
they
it.
have nightmares? Were you? Gasp.
Yeah, I was having dreams about it. It was weird. I was worried that the body was gonna fall off when the
Oh my
wagon got
God,
stuck.
Tanya. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
When they hit that rock, I was just like, oh my God, no, this is terrible. Why is this happening? Um, and just like the part where the rock, I was like, you know what, this to me, I'm like, I'm seeing symbolism everywhere. It's just like the torture, like being stuck. Like, is it Allison, is it Helena? Just like you're bumping into an obstacle where you need people to save you, and the worst could possibly happen. But just like imagine being, I mean, I don't know if Helena would have been like, oh my God, the body's gonna fall off. Cause she was like, that poor woman was just like not with it, you
Yeah, she
know?
deserved all the awards because I was feeling her panic attack along with her.
Yeah. Yeah, she absolutely did. I'm sad I didn't mention her earlier, but she absolutely deserves it too. And it's just like things go quiet. Did you notice whenever like usually when we see deaths and funeral processions, the music is really, really shout out to Remy and Jawadi. But the music is like mournful and sad and it reaches into your heart. But it was not mournful, it was tense, the
It
whole
was very
scene.
tense.
Oh my God. I loved that.
It almost felt like militaristic to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Yeah, it's like that music actually would have fit like in a scene where like somebody's like walking into a trap or something, or like, yeah. You know what's funny? As you're speaking of dreams, I had a dream last night that my mom, like we were talking about the music of Game of Thrones, and she was telling her friend, she's like, "You guys don't understand. The music in the show is so good." And she's like, "There's this one song," and she starts to say, and we both say "The Light of the Seven" at the same time. Because that might be the most beautiful song from the series, from this Game of Thrones series. Like, whew, man. But yeah, yeah. And then Allison trying to hold her hand. Like, I love that shot of her just moving her hand out of her mother's. She's like, "Don't hold my hand, you whore."
I mean, even last season, Helena doesn't like to be touched. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's specifically by Alicent, but like she doesn't. Although when you think of actually now I think about it, I think she just doesn't like her mother to touch her because she was willing to dance with Jace and they like held hands and danced and
Mm-hmm.
things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, this episode, Allison isn't exactly the picture of motherhood,
Mm-mm.
despite what she might think about herself. Did you laugh at how quickly Blood confessed when Laz
Um,
brought out the tools?
Yes. And my note was, I confess too. I'm like, I'm not trying to save anybody. I'm not trying to save anybody. You bust out those tools. Like, I hate the dentist. Like, I feel like when I see those tools, I start to panic. And they're so scary. But they come out, those tools are not like chromed out and sanitized and shining. Like, they used them on the last guy and didn't wash them?
Right. And his dumbass, are you gonna hurt me? Like you murdered the heir. Like, of course we're gonna hurt
Are you
you.
gonna hurt me?
Like, okay, we didn't have to torture the confession out of you, but do you think that you're just gonna go sit in a cell?
Nah, you
Like
killed
you
the heir to the throne.
you killed the heir to the throne, you fucking idiot. Like, of course we're gonna hurt you.
Like, if
And
you were like, say you were in the same room as the king and you rose your hand to strike him, like, imagine what they would have done to you. You
they'd
killed his
cut your hand
child.
off. They'd cut your hand off and you cut the head off of the heir. Like, beheading is too easy.
Mhm. Well, you know that for me, I would, if you're like a head for a head, right? And that's kind of what Egon does when he comes back. But just like, I felt like he deserved to have his head sawed off, just like little by
Right.
little, like sawed off.
From the back of the neck so that he's living through it.
Yeah, but I want him to feel it.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
start cutting at the back of the neck
and
and
then let it
cutting
heal
around
and sew it
and
back
cutting
together.
around the edges so that
Oh,
like you're feeling all of it before we sever any nerves and before you bleed to death. Like, you're gonna
yeah,
feel what it's like to have your head cut off.
but like multiple times, because like I would like give him a break and like let the maester come and like tend to him, and then I'd be back like a week later and be like,
Cut him up again.
fuck yes.
And that's why you're lady torturer.
Yes, I am.
I was happy for Aegon that he got to beat him to death. So once
Mm-hmm.
again, I was team Aegon for just that moment, just for
Mm-hmm.
that. I think that yes, you should get to beat to death the person who killed your kid.
Absolutely. These are the old ways. These are the old ways. I felt a little bit disappointed that we didn't get, like, I would have taken out the kneecaps, like,
Yeah, he shouldn't have started with the
he
head.
shouldn't have started with the head. Like, I feel like I would smash up the hand that cut up my son's head, and then, the feet that led you to sneak in and do it, and then the knees that supported those treacherous feet. Like, I would go in. Like, he deserves all that.
Oh, you're terrifying.
I cover it with smiles.
And sweet little trinkets and gifts.
you know, if I don't give you gifts, then watch out. Which means that our dear friend who's like, she followed the rules this time. I was like, blah, blah, blah. She's texting. She's like, oh no, I listen. I'm not texting you guys until you've recorded. So I owe you a gift. Um, yeah.
So over on Dragonstone, Rhaenyra is having her small council meeting where she finds out she's being blamed for the death of this practically infant,
Mm,
and she's horrified
yeah.
because she's
Rightly
like,
so.
why the fuck would they blame me? I wouldn't kill a kid. And meanwhile,
Es-
Damon has the
Especially after having her kid killed.
right, and Damon has the smuggest grin,
Oh my God. I
his
wanted to hit him in the fucking
smuggest
face so
grin the
bad.
whole time. And like Rhaenys is looking at him. Rhaenys knew what was
Mm-hmm.
up.
Oh yeah, she knew.
She
She knew.
immediately was like, I know this was Damon.
This is
And
mhm.
Rhaenyra is even like, why would she do that to Helena? Because yes,
Yeah.
she did want a son killed. She wanted Aemon killed
Yeah.
because you know
She, she
Aemon
wanted
killed her
straight up
son.
justice, right? A son for a son.
Right.
Um, and it's crazy because you know what, as we're sitting there watching his fucking smug face, it's just, we knew it was coming, right? We
Mm-hmm.
knew that Damon had sent the assassins. We knew all of that. And we knew that the child was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
But watching him sit in her small council meeting, knowing that his plan had succeeded, regardless of the son, like which child it was, um, oh man, that was disgusting.
And
I
like he
feel like,
wasn't gonna tell her.
no, he wasn't. He wasn't. He was going to let them keep guessing. I'm like, but clearly it was you.
And it's that moment when she's looking at him and like she suddenly
Mm-hmm.
realizes.
She's like, I wanted her to clear the room, but I guess she couldn't do that
Well,
technically.
no, she had to wait till they were alone.
Yeah.
And it was unsettling for her that her small council did think it was her.
Mm-hmm.
Even as she stood there denying it, they still thought, well, yeah, well, you did it though, right?
Yeah. Um, I had a question about a person who I meant to look up. but I
Hmm.
don't think it's important.
Who?
It was Iron Rod.
Iron Rod?
Yeah, but he was yeah, whatever. It's just the one who was like, hey, well, I don't even remember if that was
Sometimes
him.
when a mother
Is grieving, like maybe she would get a little hysterical. And I'm like, dude, say that to your friends when you're not in the small council meeting. Like, don't accuse her of like losing her mind and, ordering something crazy because we have shown her to be like rational. Did she go and fly around looking for her kids' remains? Yeah. But I feel like anybody would have done that. Like, can you imagine if Laenor or Harwin Strong was still if they were still around? Like, they absolutely would have been on dragons looking too. Well, not
So
Harwin,
in the
but
book, uh Iron Rod was actually Team Aegon. And
yeah. So I think he was on the small council with them.
yes, he was on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
small
yeah.
council and he was Team Aegon and he was taken captive by Rhaenyra.
Yes. Okay, that's
So
where it was because I
that's
wrote
future
his name
stuff.
down, and it's like in my notes closer to that small council meeting. So yeah, I forgot the
Yeah.
question that he asked, but yes,
Yeah, I wonder
fucking
why they
Damon.
changed that. Anyway, whatever. Well, that's spoilery stuff for future.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Rhaenyra does confront Daemon and brings up a lot of stuff that I feel like she's probably been holding in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was like, these hoes ain't loyal. And she's like, you know what, Damon? Hello. I have receipts. Like, this is about you. It's never been about me. And I'm like, does Damon believe his own hype? Of course he does. Of course he does. Like, it's all fucked up. And like the way that he like fucking came at her when she was like, this is all about you. This is all about you. And Damon's like, listen, he was like Viserys was punishing me. That's why you became the queen because I quote, he knew your legacy, unlike mine, would never outshine his own.
He even referred to them taking his brother's throne.
His brother's throne.
And it reminds me of what I said before about him getting revenge wasn't so much about the slight against Rhaenyra, but that a slight against Rhaenyra is a slight against him.
Mm-hmm. That fucker.
He's very selfish. I liked Book
Very
Damon better.
selfish. I liked Book Damon better too. Book
Yeah.
Damon better was far more likable. Um,
I'm gonna
and
read The Rogue Prince
yeah, I was
so
just about to
I
say
can
that.
fall in love with him again.
Like what you guys don't understand is like the things that we said about Damon in season one. It's just like on our expectations of him. I feel like we're just constantly being disappointed. Like we know what he did, but he didn't seem as I don't know.
It's not like he was a good person.
No, he wasn't.
He
He
was just
wasn't.
more likable.
He was more charming.
Right. You get charmed by him, even
Mm-hmm.
though he's like clearly a bad person. You kind of get
Yeah.
charmed by him. And in this one, I don't feel charmed by him.
Like never, not even a little bit.
I mean, I still low key love his attitude, but
Yeah.
but I don't like him mistreating Rhaenyra.
No, I don't. I feel like I don't know why they wrote that in.
Yeah. Anyway, um Jace offers to
Wait, before we do that real quick, I just want to say that there are scrolls everywhere. Do you notice that like in the background there's all these like little I don't know what the word for, but these little like cubbies for
yeah,
scrolls. There are
it's like
scrolls
she's in a
everywhere,
library.
and I love Rhaenyra's chambers. Love.
It's because she has a
Want.
library in it.
Well, it's also very big and spacious. My only complaint is like, how come you guys don't have no more like bearskin rugs? You're the queen. Like that granite is cold.
Yeah.
Those stone slabs are cold. But yeah, Bella.
Yeah, Jace was offering to go to, you know, check out King's Landing on his dragon, fly high and see what's going on. And she was like, no. And
Mm-mm.
obviously it's because she's afraid he'll be killed. But then she sends Bela to do it, which I'm
And
like,
also,
damn.
he's her heir.
Well, that's true, yeah. But she sends Bela to do it. So now Bela is heading over on Moondancer to take
Can
a
we talk
look.
about real quick? Sorry, how Bela comes in, right? She comes in and she just sees the traces of her father's tantrum.
Hmm.
She's like,
And
"Oh,
she
is
saw
he on
him
this shit
as he was
again?"
storming out and he didn't say anything to her.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the books he also liked his kids a lot more.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what I remember.
He was a
And
good
it's just
baby
like
daddy.
he doesn't, he just, yeah. I mean, when she asked, when she says, she's like, I'm realizing, when Rhaenyra says, she's like, I'm realizing that you don't love anybody except for yourself. And we just continue to see it.
Damon heads out, so presumably to Harrenhal.
Who knows?
So, well, that's what he's supposed to. That's where he's supposed to be going is to
Yeah.
Harrenhal to take Harrenhal, which I wonder how Lord Larys feels about that because who's there holding it? Lord Larys didn't go
Mm-hmm.
home, so I don't know. Are there soldiers there? We don't know. I guess we'll see
Oh
more of
no.
Harrenhal
There must
if
be a
and when
steward
Damon
of
gets
some
there.
sort.
Um, Aegon pissed me off in the next scene where he and Helena are passing each other in the corridor, and he just looks
Oh,
at her and doesn't attempt in any way to comfort her. And I was seeing on Twitter some people saying that he's not mean to her. He just treats her like a sibling, like it's the typical like sibling mean.
oh,
But I'm like, no,
that's
he's kind of awful to her.
no, I feel, I mean, I can see where they're coming from for that. Because he's always like, okay, I had to marry my sister. Ugh, whatever,
Yeah.
fine. But like, this is a moment where the grief could be shared. And maybe you don't want to show weakness. And like you talked about being seen as weak. Maybe he thought that comforting his queen in front of his boys would have been like too much. But if I were like his little entourage, I'd be like, oh shit, for real?
Yeah, because
Like,
like even with
didn't both of y'all's
siblings,
kid just die?
even with your siblings being annoying and you being like, oh, fine, whatever, you would comfort them if they lost their child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I
And the
see
way
it
that she just like,
as more than just like the sibling meanness. Like he's just not nice to her.
and the look on her face where it just like dawns on her that she's not going to get that from him.
Yeah,
She
she's
just like,
alone.
she's like resolute. She's like, all right, it's just me.
She's
My
alone.
mother
She doesn't
only
have any
cares.
friends. She doesn't have any friends. The handmaiden she has are very clearly not her friends.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say anything. They just like do their duty. She's all alone. Her mother is too busy fucking the Lord Commander to pay her any
And
attention.
too busy worried about her telling on her.
Yeah, her husband isn't going to show her any comfort. We never see Otto talk to her.
No.
Um, all she has is her babies.
I was sad. I was honestly sad that we didn't see her for the rest of the episode. And I know that like, okay, there are other things going on, but like this is an opportunity for us to like feel something besides you know the craving for justice and anger. And like you
Mhm.
feel sad for her, but like in these moments, like I want to know more about her.
I mean,
And like if you're gonna write things in,
maybe
yeah,
we'll get more later.
I want her to like
Um,
sell her mother out is what I actually really want.
I don't think she will.
It's unfortunate. I feel like
I f-
I would be down for creative license in this situation. Give me drama.
I
But
do think at some point Aegon will find out, but I don't think Helena's gonna tell on her.
mm,
But yeah, this was where we saw the bed being taken apart, the bloody mattress being taken out, all
okay.
of those things going on.
But I feel like I need to pause right there. Fuck Kristen Cole. And my note here is how dare you look away? How dare you turn your head when they're bringing out the mattress of the child who was slain while you were banging its grandmother or his grandmother? How dare you? You need to look at that and face, like, just face it. Face it. How, oh man. This is why I call it the how dare you episode. Cause like almost every scene he was in, I was like, how fucking dare you?
They juxtapose that with Allison and her kids. I mean, I'm sorry, Rhaenyra
Rhaenyra.
and her kids. And at first I was like, who the hell is that? When I saw the babies. And I'm like, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Rhaenyra's
she's got
little
kids
ones.
too. Yeah.
They're
And I
aged, all the kids are aged down for this.
yeah, they really are. And I think that's to make us like, if they're not going to give us the brutality that is, I mean, they're still giving us brutality, but not the ones that are in fire, not the brutality we see in Fire and Blood. So they make them younger. So it hits home a little bit harder, which I understand. But like, I'd like a kid to be able to say, like, no, mommy, don't
I
cheese
also
me.
I also think it might be to stretch out the seasons a little more.
Maybe. Maybe. I was gonna say that I like the pacing and the way that they keep just even through like the first season, the way that they keep juxtaposing um the two families, like as this is going on. Like you see what's happening there and you see Rhaenyra playing with her kids. You keep seeing what's happening and it feels like you're given a more real-time perspective on what's happening. It's not like, oh, Game of Thrones in the later seasons where you're like, oh wait, when are we right now? How far did he run? Is he still rowing? What?
I do wonder
Like,
if we'll have any more time jumps because, but there is a
mm,
lot going on. So,
yeah.
I won't. No, okay, I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
future
don't
stuff.
don't
So,
spoil. Yeah.
no, I was gonna say something, but I realized it might spoil future things. So I won't. I'll ask you about it later.
Okay.
Um, why I was wondering if there would be time jumps. Anyway, um, Allison, we go because we're going back and forth. Allison is bathing,
Mm-hmm.
notably with no servants.
Mm-hmm.
So we see her struggling to untie her own underclothes and doing all those things.
But
So
after she's like talking to Sir Chris, she's like, "Oh my God, did you tell anybody?" And he was
yeah.
like, "Bitch, no." I'm like, "Look at this ass protection
And he's like, there's
conspiracy."
no absolution for what I've done. Like, oh, fuck you. Oh, he pisses me off.
I still want her to get pregnant and complicate things.
I'm sure she drinks nightly moon tea.
I know. If you guys don't know
Um,
what moon tea is, it's the
it's
thing that makes the babies not possible.
yeah, it's birth control tea, but it's also abortion tea.
Yeah.
So
Plan B and
yeah, it's like the plan B tea, but then like if you're already pregnant, it goes
extra
beyond
strength.
it goes beyond plan B into whatever that drug is
you,
called. I don't
you
remember.
know what, Tanya? I feel a moral obligation to let um, people know, men and women alike, that Plan B only works if you haven't ovulated yet, which Tanya informed me.
Yes, it only works if you haven't ovulated yet. If you've already ovulated, unfortunately, you're going to have to find a way to be unfucked because the plan B will not work. A lot of people mistakenly believe that plan B is an abortion pill, and it is not.
No,
It simply
it's not.
keeps you from ovulating so that you don't get pregnant. And that's why you have to take it like immediately
Immediately. Like when
because
he's on his way. I mean, when he's whatever. Just make it
while
like
it's
you're
still
after.
wet.
Why? Exactly.
That's why they call it the morning after pill. You have to take it
Mm-hmm.
right away.
Right
But if you're
after.
already pregnant, you can take all the plan Bs you want. That fetus isn't going, that embryo is not going anywhere.
Mm-mm.
But sometimes in TV, like they make it seem like the plan B pill is an abortion pill. And I actually really hate that because
I
it's not.
really hate it too because it's not true.
It's not true. So anyway, moon tea is basically like plan B tea, but it doubles as abortion tea, or at least maybe the tansy tea. I don't know if tansy
The
tea and moon
tansy.
tea are the same thing.
That's a good question. Hey, George.
Yeah. 'Cause or maybe moon tea has tansy in it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that might be a thing.
Yeah, I think that might be it. So anyway, that's why they drink moon tea. That's the tea that Rhaenyra got sent by her dad after he
Mm-hmm.
thought she fucked Damon, even though it was actually Kristen Cole. But yeah, that's the tea that was brewed for her. Anyway, that's our commercial about Plan
Mm-hmm.
B, which you can now buy over the counter for like $50.
You can. And if you go to Plant Parenthood, you can get it for 25.
Oh, tuck that in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to Kristen Cole projecting everything he said to Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing he said to Eric was him talking to himself.
Fuck Kristen
Where were
Cole.
you? This white cloak is supposed to represent our purity,
Sullied honor. Like,
sullied
oh my
honor.
God. How dare you? How fucking dare you? Can I just real quick talk about um like we mentioned this before, like when Kristen Cole, he's not Sir Kristen Cole, he's Krista, he's Christ. When he when he's talking about Rhaenyra and he calls her like the queen bitch or whatever, the bitch queen or what, all these things, like I don't understand how he's able to take such liberties with his mouth, like whether it's like the slander, whether it's using their first names because he's like actor real familiar, whether it's like putting it on his queen's punans, but like how come nobody is checking him? Like, sir, you're Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, but you are not the royal family. You better use the titles. I don't care if Rhaenyra, if you're considering the Greens are considering her a usurper queen, she's still a Targaryen. You don't get to talk about her like that. We do. but you don't. And I
Right.
just don't know why somebody's not slapping him in the face with a gauntlet.
Aegon did give him a little bit of a look, like he was
Not
surprised to
enough.
hear it. And last season, Allison stopped in her tracks when he said it and he apologized. So he's been a little he needs to get slapped up. But anyway, who can't wait for his
Comeuppance.
downfall. Yeah. But yeah, he's completely projecting on Eric. Eric is just minding his business, trying to eat some breakfast because he's been up
He's
all
like,
night.
exactly. I was up all night. I'm hungry. I'm trying to go to bed.
And he's asking Eric, well, where were you? Like, bitch, I was with the king. Where were you?
Mm-hmm. You didn't think to send somebody. And Eric was like, I don't know why the queen doesn't have her own dedicated guard in
Right.
the first
Why doesn't
place.
she have a sworn protector? And he even says when she ascended, she should have been given one. And Cole, and he's right. So of course, Kristen Cole gets mad and has to project some other bullshit on him. Um,
Mm.
and now he's sending him to Dragonstone to go and murder the queen, which is
Like,
not a
under whose
thing that
authority?
under whose authority. And for him to be asking Eric why he didn't send someone to the queen's chambers, like that's your job. You're the Lord
How
Commander.
dare you
You're
fuck
the
Kristen
Lord
Cole?
Commander. Eric isn't the Lord Commander.
It's
Eric
not his
isn't the one
job.
assigning duties.
Yeah.
There's no vice Lord Commander. You know what
No
I mean?
first mate.
Yeah, like no, that was your job. You are the one who's to give her a sworn protector. You are the one to make sure everybody's chambers has a person guarding it. Like even if it's not, I mean, it should be a king's guard. She's the fucking queen.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
should have been a king's guard, but there weren't even household guards around
No,
her.
they're not even. And it like we'll talk about this later when Otto comes in and talks about he's like he is unlearned, unskilled. He's just muscle and bone or sword and bone. And he's right. He's right. We know how he got that position.
He's just dick and
Mm-hmm.
muscles.
Basically.
And
We don't even know if he's good dick. Because Allison doesn't even have like,
yeah, she doesn't have
compared
a good
to
comparison.
yeah, compared to Viserys' strap on, like she doesn't really know.
Yeah, so yeah, he projected a lot onto Eric, and
I
I
was
I
so
I
angry at
felt
him.
that. Yeah, I definitely felt like everything he was saying to Eric were all the like internal thoughts he was having about himself, and he had to like pull rank and be a complete dick. Poor Eric knows
Mm-hmm.
he's being sent to his death. I mean, I don't think he was expecting what happened later, but he
Yeah.
knows like, okay, even if he's successful and is able to pretend to be his brother, get in and kill Rhaenyra, how does he get back out?
Yeah. How
You
does he
know?
get back out?
And
And there's a part,
for him to be like he basically tells Eric it's his fault.
yes.
And it's like, why? How is this Eric's fault? Eric didn't do anything. Eric was doing
Eric was
his
doing his
duty.
job.
He was
Exactly.
working. He was on the clock doing what he was supposed to do, guarding the king.
And listening to his like inane conversation.
Yeah. He was
Eric
where
started
he was
being like,
supposed to
I'm
be.
dumber than I was before this conversation happened.
I
And
think
whatever, it's my job.
I think that Kristen Cole is distracted. He knows he was distracted again because he's fucking the queen and
Mm-hmm.
slacked on his duties, and that's why there were no guards up there because he was too busy scrambling to send out the night duties so that he could hurry up and go get fucked.
Yeah, and it's funny, well, not funny, but it made me draw a parallel between Cheese kicking his dog after Blood is like blah 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 blah.
Right,
Like
because he
he's
knows
doing
he
the
can't
same
kick
thing.
blood. Yeah, he can't
He's
kick
doing the
blood,
same
so he
thing.
takes it out on somebody that's weaker and with less power. And it's just, yeah, he is mad at himself, but he needs somebody to bully.
It's so funny. I have a note here that says they were out like a Western. But
Yeah.
everybody else, he starts yelling, they were like, whoop, time to
Yeah.
go.
I absolutely laughed out loud at that. Everybody packed up their shit and left.
What dinner? I think I'm full. Bye.
Yeah. But yeah,
Oh
man.
man.
Kristen Cole is he's fighting some demons now because
Wanton violence.
even if it's not directly his fault, indirectly it is his fault because he's
Mm-hmm.
in charge of that. And
Gross negligence. We talked about it before.
mhm, you're the person who's in charge. So the onus is on you to make sure that people are where they're supposed to be. But you were abed. Man,
What? Yeah.
we get Jason Bela talking of fathers. And
My
I
two dads.
my two dads. And so now we know
Uh,
she knows he's a bastard and
yeah,
she accepts it. She's just like,
she
whatever,
doesn't
man.
care. I
Um,
laughed when she was like, tell me about them. What do you know about them? And Jace is like, well, your uncle had a weakness for cake.
yeah, I was like, he sure did.
He sure
Cake, 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 cake,
did.
cake, cake.
Oh man. Yeah. But I enjoyed that conversation between them because we've just seen them exchange like glances and stuff, but this is
Hmm.
our first like conversation between them. And this is when they're like thrust into war and having to accept adult responsibilities.
It's nice to see their closeness as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously just setting us up for tragedy because anytime they show anybody being tender and close, like they just immediately die. So we'll see how it goes for Bela circling King's Landing on her dragon.
I love her handy skill with the crossbow though, because that's
Yeah.
like we don't ever see. I mean, not that we see Arya, we see like Brienne, right? But like just women wielding weapons. It's really great to see that. So
Hmm.
shout out to Bela and her crossbow skills.
My question for you, unrelated to this,
Uh-oh.
does does Aemond have a mommy fetish?
Yes,
Somebody said he looked like
yes.
Voldemort in the last Horcrux.
OMG, we're not body shaming. Thanks
I
for
didn't
talking to
say
that.
it. I
We
didn't say
didn't
it.
say it. It
It
wasn't
was a
us.
picture that was going around saying that that was
Yeah.
Aemond in the brothel. It was that picture of Voldemort was going around.
Oh my God, you guys, how dare you? But I get it. Hold on, I'm flipping to that page. Oh, you know what? It says like uncle, like nephew.
What, going to
Going to the
the
brothel and
brothel
being
after your nephew gets
comforted.
killed?
Well, no, it's just like I'm thinking about when Damon was with Massaria, right? And he couldn't get it up, so he just wanted to talk,
Mm.
right? And so that's what it was reminding me of. And my other note here is survivor's guilt is killing the boner.
I was thinking he had like a Homelander vibe where he's in there just like sucking titties and like being held.
But you know what? It's just like we hear this. I mean, in lots of the stories that we've read that include brothels and sex workers, that some guys they just want the comfort. They just want to go in there
Well,
and be held.
that was what we heard about the Unsullied because
Mm-hmm.
Daenerys was asking, well, why? I think this was a book thing. Why do they go to the brothels if they don't have
Right.
genitals? And it
Because they
was like
like
to
to
be
eat it.
held. No, it was to be held.
I know, but also I think they like to eat it. But even outside of Game of Thrones, like it's a thing that people like. There's all these stories about men who go to brothels just because they want that physical touch. They don't necessarily want to smash, but they're just like it's nice to be held by a woman.
Yeah, and
So,
also we live in a society, at least here in the United States, where men are basically not allowed to touch anyone but like the woman they're fucking. And so
mm-hmm.
they miss out on that type of
Intimacy and
intimacy.
tenderness. Yeah,
Yeah. And so if you don't have a significant other in your life, no one ever touches you except in violence.
yeah. This is why prostitution should be legal.
It absolutely should be. But also I don't want to put poor sex workers, make them have to deal with that bullshit either.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up in a country where prostitution was legal,
Yeah.
and up until now, there was little gun violence. Mm-hmm.
So Eamon, I thought it was interesting that when she went to kiss on him, he's like, no, not here. Because I thought to myself, well, where?
Yeah, like where do you do this?
Yeah, I think that he just cuddles with her and sucks on her titties like Homelander would do.
Homelander. There's this scene where there's just like him and his son. It's not a spoiler, just like drinking tall glasses of milk.
Yeah, I'm catching up right now and I saw that. I was like, it's like I thought we're celebrating. Like, what the
you
fuck,
know?
bro? Like with a glass
Yeah.
of milk, he has
Wait,
ice.
so you've seen that? So you're now watching the latest season.
Yeah, I'm not all the way
Okay.
caught up. We confirmed that we do have Hugh Hammer
Boom, boom, boom,
in
boom,
the recap. They showed him, so I was like, okay, now I know
Mm.
we're gonna see him this episode. And then, of course, we see him at home, and he's basically talking about the King's Landing recession that's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? I enjoy this because we always talk about how we want to see things from the small folks' point of view. And
Hmm.
we finally have it here.
His daughter
And
is sick. His wife had to travel 2 hours just to find a chicken to cook. She paid 3 times as much as she should have. They're
mhm,
basically having herb soup for dinner,
yeah, just broth.
just like really delicious broth. Um,
Not Caribbean soup.
no, no, or wet food as Brian calls it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are getting a small folk perspective.
He's like, oh, they promised us more gold. And she was like, but when is that check coming? He was like, ugh.
Right,
It's a net 90.
right. And so I think that this is setting us up to show the small folk eventually turning against Aegon
Mm,
because they've, they feel sorrow for the heir being killed. They whether or not they wanted to, they supported his coronation.
yeah, they did
They've
not care.
made Rhaenyra an enemy, but now people are starving. So what are you gonna do about that? And then
And
of
we know what
course what
happens when
happens
people
later,
starve.
and then obviously what happens later with the rat catchers adds to it. But
Yeah.
the people are only going to stay on your side so long as they're happy. And what we're learning with Hugh Hammer is people are not happy right now because the recession hasn't quite started yet, but people are preparing for it and they're hoarding. And so people are going to suffer.
Hmm.
And the other people we see that are kind of small folk, well, are small folk, Alan and
Hmm.
Adam of Hull.
Are you gonna have it run a victory lap right now?
Because I
Yeah, you called it. And it's like, oh man, like I said, I love that we are getting more small folk stuff in here because, whether or not Aegon intends to continue, like, saying that he cares for them, he's right when he says they got to be taken care of. Like the people that you're employing to make your weapons, the people who are going to ultimately suffer for the wars that you're waging, like you got to inspire them to feel like they're loved and cared for.
the most important thing was Adam saying he owes you, he owes us.
Hmm.
That is a thing we'll get into
Yeah.
later, but it is important that he said that because why?
Yeah.
Why do you feel
Why?
he owes you? What did he do?
But I also love that Adam's like, oh, the glory. And Alan's like, you know what? I've seen war. Fuck glory.
Right, right. And later, when Adam is clam digging, he
Hmm.
sees sea smoke flying around. That was sea smoke, right? Sea
I
smoke
don't,
was
yeah.
Laenor's dragon. I'm
Sea
gonna look it
smoke.
up. I'm pretty sure that was sea smoke.
I wasn't sure if it was sea smoke or what you call it, Bela like taking off, doing his thing. But the dragon
There
did
were, I
look like
don't
it was
think,
doing its own thing.
yeah, that was Laenor's dragon, sea smoke. He was yep, pale silver gray. So
I
yeah,
love
that
seeing
was,
silver dragons.
yeah, me too. It's like unicorns, but dragons.
Yeah.
Um, so he sees sea smoke flying around with no rider. So, we'll tuck that in our back pockets as well. Um, a nice conversation between Rhaenys and Corlys where
Pillow
Rhaenys
talk.
pillow talk, where she thinks that even if Daemon doesn't directly challenge Rhaenyra for the throne, she says she doesn't believe that he'll let her command him.
Nope.
And he's kind
Damon.
of
I'm calling
showing
him
that.
Dater the deserter.
Well, he's showing that, that
Hmm.
he's keeps doing his own thing. And Rhaenyra even said while she was abed giving birth, he was trying to do a war council without her.
Hmm.
And
Never came up.
he also, remember, he tried to command Rhaenys and, would that you were the king. Um,
Hmm.
so, there's there's tension that
Isn't it
other
crazy? It's
people are
just,
seeing.
yeah, exactly. And it's just like how I mean, I think partially it's that he feels he doesn't want to be ruled by women or commanded by women. He's like one of those guys, right? But it's just wild to me, or not really wild. It's just interesting to see just him ignoring the two rightful queens because we know Rhaenys is a queen who never was,
Mm-hmm.
and Rhaenyra is the rightful heir. He's the rightful heir, and I'm like the chip on the shoulder that you have towards both of them. Like really, fucking Damon, like chill, chill,
Grow up.
grow up. And Rhaenys is like, you know what? I know how it feels to be robbed of the crown,
Mm-hmm.
but
You got to move
whatever.
on.
You got to move on. Yeah. And I love
And
that she says no matter what, she's going to support the queen.
in Damon's case, he was only the heir. If we went by, you know, the male heirs only,
Mm-hmm.
he would have stopped being the heir once Aegon was born
Egan was
anyway.
born. Yep, absolutely. It's
So
a line of succession.
yeah. So even if Rhaenyra was never, or if Rhaenyra didn't get to stay the heir, it
Wait,
still
hold
wouldn't be
on.
Daemon.
The line of succession, not secession. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, even if Rhaenyra wasn't named, even if Rhaenyra was taken down or whatever from being heir, and
Yeah.
it would have moved to Aegon, not Daemon.
Mm-hmm.
Daemon
Exactly.
stops being heir once Viserys has sons. So he either way, you weren't going to be
He's
the king.
wrong. Either way, you're
Wrong.
wrong, Damon. Wrong, 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 wrong.
Rhaenyra meets Mysaria, who she doesn't remember at first as her husband's
Wait,
ex.
wait, can we go back?
What?
Um, I was like, I'm seeing her pull out the scrolls. I'm like, what is she? And reading these books, I'm like, what is she reading? What is she researching? So I paused it because I was on the train and I had time. And in the first page of the book, it shows the conquerors, Visenya and Aegon. Hold on, what's the other sister's name?
Rhaena?
And Rhaena. And then the next page shows Visenya on Vagar. And then it talks about Aegon and Dorne and the bleeding years. Just like Aegon going to war and just trying to capture the things. And I was like, oh, this is interesting that she's saying that because she's basically reading upon
Mm-hmm.
Targaryen history and past wars. And I really like that she was doing that because, we don't see Daemon doing any such thing, but it also made me think about how that she's like her brother Aemond in that
Wait,
way.
was it Rhaena or was it Rhaenys?
Rhaenys, yep,
Yeah, it was Rhaenys.
Rhaenys, and Visenya. So yeah,
So Rhaenys and Mysaria, she doesn't recognize Mysaria right away.
Rhaenyra.
I'm sorry, Rhaenyra. I wrote
Too
Rhaenys.
many Rays.
Yeah, it's really
We
confusing.
just got to be like Auntie Ray and Queen Ray and Ancient Ray.
Sister Ray and Princess Ray and Lady Ray.
Yeah.
Rhaenyra, not Rhaenys. Rhaenyra meets with Mysaria. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they talk of Daemon's promises.
Itaka Damus promises, but she's Rhaenyra's always say like, bitch, you already kind of betrayed me. And she Masari's like, wait. I'm the small folk. I saw an opportunity to make money, so I did. She said, I took profits from an inevitability. There was
Mm-hmm.
no way they were going to let you sit the Iron Throne because a boy was born.
And who is she to like kill him or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would she get involved in that and put her own neck on the block?
Especially when we see what happens in King's Landing after.
And I mean, remember her house got burned down. They tried to kill her just for her negotiations. They tried to kill
Mm-hmm.
her. So, who is she
Yeah.
to take anything into her hands? She's just a normal small folk lady
Mm-hmm. He's trying to
who
survive.
attempted to become more and learn the hard way that no matter what she does, they'll never see her on their level.
Nope.
So she dated the prince, and he said he was going to marry her.
Because she was knocked
And
up.
yeah, even though they both knew she wasn't, but she thought he was going to marry her. She went head to head with the Hand. She's running the small folk portion of King's Landing. She's the queen of
Mm-hmm.
Flea Bottom right now, the
She's a
master of
bad bitch.
whisperers. And what do? They try to have her killed once they have no use of her. So she's right. No matter what she does, she's still just gonna be like some whore to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the rat catchers. Once again, we get to see the small folk. I didn't know what
Mm-hmm.
was happening at first. I
Me
saw that
neither.
lady like rushing and she's looking up and this all these people hanging. And I'm like, whoa, who are all these people hanging? And she's like, my son. And we
Mm-hmm.
find out that Aegon hanged all of the rat catchers, every single one.
The royal ones, the ones
The
that worked
royal,
in the
yeah,
Red Keep. Yeah.
right. The royal rat catchers, which like no one's gonna take that job now. Like, good job, Magor.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Except it's a recession. So eventually
yeah,
they
I'd
will have
rather
to take
I'd
it.
rather starve than take a job where I might get hanged because one of my coworkers did something fucked up. You know? I'd leave or like leave King's Landing. Like just start walking. Just start walking until you
Where do you
see
end up?
houses again.
You know, oh man.
And so Otto
Are
confronts
they
Aegon
accepting
about this.
applications at High Garden?
No, seriously. Highgarden so far seems like the most pleasant place to be. That's why I love
Yeah,
Highgarden.
it's like
Um,
the dream.
yeah, Otto confronts Aegon about this and drags him for filth,
Mm-hmm.
calls him a fool. He called him trifling, which made me laugh.
Oh my God, me too. I feckless. I just like so many of my favorite words. And I love how like so many of the men in this episode threw tantrums.
Yeah. And then Kristen's bitch ass, watch how you speak of your king. Fuck you.
Fuck you. Fuck Kristen Cole. Like, take a long drink on that one, guys. You should probably be drunk by now, honestly.
Like, fuck you. Who are you talking to?
Who
Who are
are
you
you?
talking to?
Like, this is the hand of the king. Like, you're the Lord Commander of the King's Watch, but he's the hand of the king, right?
Like,
When
shut
the
the fuck
king
up.
eats, the hand shits. The hand of the king is the voice of the king
Shut
in
the fuck up.
absentia. But like,
Go
ugh,
stand in the corner with your sword, like the
God
dummy
damn
you
it.
are. Shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you.
Nobody
And
asked you.
Otto checks him. He's like, I'm talking to my grandson, and my grandson's a fool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this has nothing to do with you. This is family business. Go shut up and stand in the corner and guard the door like you should have been when my great grandson was murdered.
Yep. Yep. And how dare you open your face to say anything?
Like, you are nobody. Shut up. Shut up.
The only reason you're here is because both the queens had crushes on you.
And
Like, really. It's like pretty privileged to the max.
the Otto drops the truth bomb on Aegon when he's like, oh, he made talking about Viserys and how he's ruining everything Viserys did. He's like, don't you think of him? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Viserys was doing a way better job at this.
But
And he's like, well,
also,
he made me king. Is
and
that what you
also,
think?
is that what you think? But like, my note was like, oh, now you want Viserys? Like, why didn't
I
you follow
think
his rules then? This
so.
whole
Yeah,
time you're talking about like keeping the realm from going to war, but they would have accepted Rhaenyra because they swore to it.
and you know what? I think at this point, Otto regrets his decision.
Of course he does. He has to.
I
He didn't know it was
believe,
going to lead to his unhanding.
I believe that Otto wanted Aegon on the throne because Aegon was this dim-witted fool who just wants to have fun and drink and hang out with his friends. And so Otto believed that Aegon was someone he could control. And
Mm-hmm.
having his grandson on the throne meant that he was essentially the king and running the country, running the
Let me
realm.
ask. Can I ask you a question? Do you really think that Otto wants peace in the realm?
I do. I do think he wants peace. I think that he is being foolish and thinking that any of this is going to lead to peace.
Right.
Um, it seemed like his plan all along was to simply murder Rhaenyra, Daemon, and their children,
Mm-hmm.
and then there'd be
Just
no one
keep
to
the line
challenge,
moving.
right, and keep it moving. And I think that that was stupid to believe that that would happen. But I do believe that he actually wants peace. I don't think he wants to go to war. Like at every step, he's trying to do things to avoid escalating the situation
Yeah.
and
Even
things.
though
And
he's
he's blaming Alicent for not letting him murder them to begin with.
yeah.
And he's angry at Aegon for sending an assassin, which was Kristen Cole's idea. And he's looking at them like, "Are you guys fucking stupid?"
Are you fucking stupid? And you know what's really as you're saying that, it makes me think about Amond and Chris and Kristen in his little side chambers talking about war, playing at war, and come to find out it wasn't the Amond Kristen combination that he had to worry about. It was the Amond Aegon combination he had to worry about.
Mm-hmm. And remember, Laris is also in Aegon's his ear.
Mm-hmm. We knew this was coming.
Yeah, Laris is in his ear telling him to get rid of Otto and to be your own man, not to try to be Viserys too.
Dude. And when Otto's like, you wouldn't dare, and Egon's like, I have dared, and I find it stimulating.
Yeah, when he said you wouldn't dare, I was like, well, that was stupid to say.
Yeah, and then I have in all caps, fuck Kristen Cole. And then I called him a fucking a fucking piece of shit covered dickhole.
Wow. All
I
right.
thought I cannot stand him in this episode because, like, yo, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And the other thing I said right before that was like, how come nobody is checking him on his language? You're not the
Yeah.
royal family.
And so Otto again, I think has regret. I don't think this means that he's going to turn on Aegon in any way,
No, no, no,
but
he would
I
never.
I definitely think he's regretting this because it's not going the way he thought it would.
Mm-mm.
He
Never
thought,
does though.
they've been planning for who knows how long to put Aegon on the throne, and the plan was to just kill off Rhaenyra's family again, and then he'll be running everything
And
because
let's not ever forget that. Let's not ever forget that Otto's plan was to kill Rhaenyra's entire line.
and it's like that seemed reasonable to him.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I do believe he wants peace, but I don't think he's doing anything that would bring peace. I think
No,
he's being really stupid about it. He's no Tywin. I'm sorry.
no, he's not.
And you know what? Tywin Tywin would have just had them killed. There wouldn't have been a discussion.
No, they wouldn't even known until it was over.
Sir Otto gets fired, and now Kristen Cole is named hand. But you know what my first thought was where is he gonna pin that?
You, dude, me too. I was like, I don't know what he's gonna do. Like,
Like, do they have magnets?
wait, oh no, that was the gold cloaks. I was gonna say, remember how the gold cloaks, like the positioning of their thing, but not the Kingsguard of their capes in the clasp, but
Mm.
not the Kingsguard. Yeah, that's what I wanted too. And I'm so glad that he just threw it on the floor. Cause how dare you?
Before we get into uh Eric and Eric and Nasaria and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about Otto and Allison's conversation about Aegon.
Oh no, we fucked up conversation.
And like, I swear these people are such shit parents. You know,
I mean, yeah,
like
yeah,
she's in tears. She wants to tell him I've sinned, and he's like, I don't want to hear about it.
yeah. He's like, you know what? Whatever happened is what happened.
I
My
think,
dear darling daughter, I'm on my way out. You're on your own now.
and I think it could be
Ugh.
taken a couple of ways. It can be taken as, you know what, don't even worry about it. You sinned. Let's not even think about it. Or it could be like, look, I want no parts.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that shit to yourself.
Because she is quote unquote pilot. She goes and she lights candles and shit. We know that she's in the sept. Um, and he probably is thinking like, oh man, she like kicked a servant today, or like
Well,
she,
I
whatever.
wonder if if anybody suspects about Kristen Cole because they've been spending a lot of, and granted, he is her sworn sword.
Mm-hmm.
They already spend a lot of time together, but I do wonder if anyone suspects that more is going on.
I don't know that they do. I honestly don't think that they do. Like it was different with Rhaenyra and Breakbones, like they're like, oh, but
Yeah,
they
because he was
her
city watch. Like, what were you even doing in the castle?
yeah, and I don't think that they do because Rhaenyra comes across so pious.
You
Like
mean
she would
Allison?
never, sorry, Alicent comes across as like a pious, devoted, just a perfect queen. So I don't think that they would, think about it. It's just kind of like how your husband thinks that I'm just like an angel.
Despite everything I tell him.
Despite not like 70% of that is true. The other 30%, is
Yeah,
like
some of
made
it's
up.
made up
Some
just
of it's
to
made up.
cause chaos.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. I just don't think that they can even imagine her having sex. It's like one of those things. She had sex to have babies. Her husband is dead. The end. The end.
Well,
Well, we know he's going back to Hightower.
and she suggests he goes to Old Town to
So,
the high.
sorry,
Yes, Old Town
to
to the High
the
Tower
Hightower in Old Town,
because
which
she
makes you
tells him
wonder.
that he should go to High Garden, but he mentions her son in Old Town.
Daron, the
So Daron
Darren.
is in the show, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that this is them making up for an oversight because there was no indication in season 1 that there was a fourth child.
Nope.
from her
I
and
mean, we know that
Viserys.
he was like, he's the third son. He was gentle. And so they sent him away to be the cupbearer for her uncle, Lord Ormond, who I guess
But
we'll
we
see
don't
now.
get any of that.
No,
We don't like they never even show him in season one when they show like all of her children, like he's never there.
maybe
So like
he's
was he
ugly.
sent away as a baby and nobody ever talked about it? That actually really annoyed me because I feel like that was a
Yeah.
mistake in like
It,
continuity.
right. And but if you refer to like the text or whatever, it's like he was older and he was sent away because, there's two
I
of
know
them.
about him in the book and this
Yeah.
whole time I've been saying like Daron they wrote Daron out of the show because they never showed him and now they're bringing him up, which opens up a whole other storyline that we'll get to see that
Hmm.
I obviously won't spoil. But
Yeah. Yep.
but I feel like they changed their mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like they weren't gonna have Daron and then they changed their mind and now we have Daron and because he's never mentioned.
He's
She's
never mentioned,
she
but
is
I would love
never
to see.
once she's never once shown with 4 children.
No. And I would like to see just like, oh, how does he feel about being sent away as a cupbearer to his uncle? Like,
Right.
is he like cool with it? Is he not cool with it? I don't know. Um, but yeah, so yeah,
So that
when they
annoyed
mentioned
me.
his name, I was like, oh, okay, so y'all brought him back.
That actually really annoyed me because
Hmm.
they like there was just never any indication that she had a fourth child until that line.
Right.
And they could have done better with that. Yeah. Anyway, um Alicent towards the end, she walks in on Aegon crying his eyes out. And what does she do?
Oh, she walks out.
She fucking walks out the room. And we can put that up against Rhaenyra when Jace comes in to give her his reports last episode. And he's
Mm-hmm.
breaking down. And what does she do? She
She stands up and
grabs her
hugs
son
him.
and she hugs him and she comforts him. And
Yeah.
like, Alicent, girl,
And it's just like I thought of like two ways about it, like comparing those two scenes and also how she should have just walked in and hugged her son, but she can't because the guilt is eating her alive. But also like, have you ever been so like just deep in sorrow that people come and they just like know that they have to let you cry? I just don't think that this is one of those situations. Like, did he notice her come in? Maybe, maybe not. He didn't look up. Does he know his mommy's footsteps? Who knows? But like this was your opportunity. Like if you're talking to get like
be
you're trying
a
to get penance and
mother.
stuff, be a mom. Hug your kid. We know that you like you we know you like to be touched.
And it's like it's kind of ironic. She's the pious one. Rhaenyra's the
Mhm.
quote whore. And yet Rhaenyra's there for her children. And
Mhm.
Alicent hasn't comforted a single one. Even when she
Nope.
went to Helena, she didn't comfort her. She simply
No,
told
she
her
made it
about
about
doing her
herself.
duty.
Do your duty and oh my God, are you gonna tell?
Yeah.
Nah, fuck her. Fuck
And
her
even
too.
even when it came up to do the funeral procession, she said she didn't want to be made a spectacle of, but like, so you're okay with Helena being made a spectacle, and you didn't think to
Yep.
yourself, let me be there for her.
Nope. Not once.
It's
Not once.
just,
She just spent that whole conversation wishing that she was Egon who was going to be spared.
and so she doesn't comfort Aegon. She walks in on him bawling his eyes out. The man lost his child, your grandchild, and she
Like
simply walks out
yesterday.
the room. Last night, like, you know what I mean? It hasn't even been 24 hours, and you just walk out the room to do what? To go get fucked
We'll
again.
get to that. Let's talk about
I wanted,
Massaria.
well, I wanted to do that whole thing last because like with Eric and Eric and
Okay,
Massaria
then
spotting him, I wanted to do
well,
that last
well, you
because
know what my notes are then. What the fuck are you doing in my room
like
with your armor
the
off?
gall, like to be waiting in her bed,
The audacity.
the audacity, like,
Like,
wow, you were just waiting in her bed.
how did you get in? Nobody's supposed to be here.
Well,
I
he's
tried that
he's her
left thing for
guard,
the last
so
time.
I mean, he's her guard, so where are her like, and she sent away like all her servants basically
Yeah.
because she knows that they're Laris's little friends.
But like, why are you not in armor? Like you came in like you were my
Because
husband, just
because
waiting
he
for me to come
knows
to
what
bed.
he's there for, and she knows what he's there for, and that's
I
probably the routine.
mean, grief sex is really good.
What did you say? Group sex?
No, I said grief sex.
Oh, grief sex. You said group sex. I was like, where was the group? Yeah. So anyway, he has the audacity to be waiting in her bed, which she slaps him for.
Dross.
The moment she slapped him, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna turn into sex.
Oh, absolutely. It also reminded me of Jamie and Cersei.
Except with them, it was like rape. Even
Oh
though,
yeah.
even though it wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah. It wasn't.
We
Thanks for
talked
taking
about
those
this.
liberties.
Yeah, we talked about this at length. They were like, that wasn't a rape. And we're like, bro, we all saw a rape. But
Yeah, we did. And the other thing about it is like she kissed him first. That bitch.
so she gets her comfort. Anyway,
It's like, how are you going to get your comfort after denying both of your children whose child died because you were
and
getting your
and
comfort?
also no one wonders where Aemond is, and they were there to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we didn't talk about what he said about being proud that
Oh, that
Damon
Damon
tried
was
to have
coming
him
for him?
that Damon tried to have him assassinated
Mm-hmm.
instead of coming for him himself.
Yeah. 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 I did love that part. Also, when Eamon came back home, it's just like he got home and he was like, "Hey, so what the fuck's going on here?" He's just like in his chambers, he's looking around. But the reason I bring that up is because of the carvings on the wall. And I paused them and I looked and I was just like, oh, there's so many intricacies here on the set that I really love. So shout out to y'all, set designers and stuff.
Also, the passageway, because remember they came in, Blood and Cheese came in
Mm-hmm.
through Aemon's room, and the passageway was still open.
Mm-mm-mm.
Anyway, Aemon, I just feel like he wants to be Damon so bad. Like I
Yeah,
think he loves Damon,
I think so
and
too.
he loves everything Damon is about. And I think him wanting to fight Damon has nothing to do with like hatred. It's just he sees him as like
A
a
worthy
worthy
adversary.
a worthy adversary. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's on
So
his level,
yeah,
He wants to be the rogue prince.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, Rhaenyra sets Massaria free.
Wait, can I just say it really quick
What?
that Cersei would never have tolerated that curtsy?
It was a
Like, there's
terrible curtsy.
no
Cersei would have made
way.
her do it again.
Like, she didn't even bend the knee.
Yeah, it
It's
was a terrible
terrible.
curtsy. Cersei would have absolutely made her do it again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let me show you how to do it, and then you can try it again.
Exactly. I've known how to curtsy properly since I was 2.5.
Yeah. And so she's decided to set Massaria free. Um, because that was the word given to her. And so she's like, let me be a good queen
Exactly. Once
and
again, we
follow
see honor
through.
coming up against, like Rhaenyra's honor coming up against, like the entire green treachery.
Which again, like, how are people team green at this point? How?
It's
Anyway,
because they want to fuck Kristen Cole too.
whatever.
That's my theory.
Massaria is being sent to Mir or Lys
I think it was Mirror.
by way of Pentos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on the Corwin, the ship called the Corin, which is Corlys's father's name. Cute little
Mm-hmm.
Easter egg.
Love it.
So the guards are bringing her down, and it's important that she was in the room with Rhaenyra and Sir Eric.
Mm-hmm.
So on her way down to the ships, she sees Sir Eric walking up the hill, and she's like, "Wait a minute, I
Wait a
just
second.
left him."
Also, but I mean, I think it's a good callback to when they discover her on the ship. And she was
Last I
like,
saw
when I
you, there
saw
were
you
two of
too.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she remembers that they're twins. And so they don't show it, but I'm assuming she must have told someone
Must have, maybe.
because
I wanted
Eric,
to see her tell someone. I really did.
well, he gets into the castle pretending to be Eric, of course, and he's sneaking around and even dodges Eric at one point. But
And Eric turns around. He's like, I felt a presence.
well, I think it also seemed like Eric was somewhat suspicious.
Yeah.
And so in that time between him thinking he may have seen someone out the corner of his eye, for some reason he knew to go to Rhaenyra's chambers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think she must have told someone that
He
she
had a
saw
hunch.
Eric because he walks in and is like, brother.
I love that moment.
So I think she must have told someone off screen.
Arik the traitor and Eric the good.
And, in the histories, there's all these different stories about Eric and Eric and their last battle where they kill
Mm-hmm.
each other, where it's like some say that they just simply killed each other and died. Some say that they were crying and
Yeah,
all these different versions of what
I
may have
don't believe
happened.
that
There's like
account.
there's like the romantic version of them crying in each other's arms as they die, and then there's the more realistic version of like they simply killed each other and died of their
We
wounds.
were
So
born together, brother.
and so we get
Ugh.
to see we get to see what really happened, and it was a blend of both.
Yeah, I cried. I was on the train and I was just like, I shed a couple thug tears. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, and it's like Rhaenyra's getting ready to take a little nap. Her handmaiden. It was interesting. What did you think was happening when her handmaiden was braiding her hair and she kept stepping forward? Did you feel that
Like
she sensed something was going to happen?
I just thought I was like, it's like she was trying to remember something to me. I was just like, I don't really know. I don't really know. It's not really a part that like that stood out to me either time when I watched it. But yeah, I like what you're saying here.
It just seemed like something was on her mind.
Mm-hmm. That much I got.
And I thought she was stepping forward to the window. I don't know.
Mm.
I just got the feeling like she had an uneasy feeling
Yeah.
like something was going to happen. Not that she's like psychic, but
No, she's
just
not a
that,
dreamer.
like she had this gut feeling like something wasn't right.
Yeah. It's like even when
Um,
she's beating up her uncomfortable ass looking pillows.
yeah, pillow was flat as hell. And another thing, she thanks her servant.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's just shown to be so good. Like,
Kind.
yeah, she's kind to the people around her, like she's the one who's truly trying to keep peace.
Mm-hmm. That's what's in my note.
And it's
Um,
like we get Allison's fake piety. She's trying to pretend she's above, but she's doing all of these things that
do you think she's trying to pretend she's above, or do you think she really believes she is?
I think she really believes she is.
Mm-hmm.
And she's doing all of these things. It reminds me of a thing I saw where, all right, don't come for me, religious people, but uh it was this, I don't know, it was like a sign outside of a church. I don't know if it was real or not, but basically it was like, if you're trying to get the 10 commandments into school while trying to take free lunch out of school, you're not you're
Mm.
worshiping the wrong Jesus
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that.
It
And
reminds me of a
that's what I
I
get from Allison.
it reminds me of a thing that a story that a friend of mine's mother told me when she was overseas somewhere. And there are these people, I won't say the religion, but when they pray, they pray and they like supplicate, and they get like not bruises, but like knots or calluses that develop on their forehead because they spend so much time praying. Um, and they said something like, "Oh, he must be really religious," and like, "Oh no, maybe he just prays a lot," because it turns out that that person like was not a good person, and that's why he had the bump on his forehead. So yeah, it's just like the appearance of being pious.
Right.
um
It's like the going through the motions.
Performative.
It's very performative. She's going
Performative,
through the
yeah.
motions. She's wearing the demure gowns. She's hanging the stars of the seven everywhere. She's going to the sept. She's praying. She's lighting the candles, but then she's living foul.
And
Whereas,
she
right,
knows it.
and she
Like
knows
there,
it, and she
that's
feels
more than
guilty
10 Hail
about it.
Marys.
Yeah. And whereas Rhaenyra isn't doing any of that shit. She's living
No.
her hot girl life, but she's kind to the people around her. She's doing the things that you're supposed to do as a pious person for as far as like how she treats her family, how she treats her servants, and her attempting to not have a war.
Mm-hmm.
Because you remember, she even considered giving up the throne until they
Yeah,
killed her son.
until they killed her son. And that's what she's trying to tell Damon, and then Damon loses it.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Damon in this situation, fuck Damon, because if he was around, this could not have happened.
Well, he was supposed to go to Harrenhal, though.
Yeah, but he should have stayed and comforted his wife who just lost her kid.
Well, yes, but
And
you know.
also, yeah, also the music at this point in the show was reminding me of Kill Bill. Like that. It was like so tense and crazy.
I really enjoyed their fight. It made me so emotional. And
Mm,
again, these people are acting their asses off.
they really did. This episode is great.
Like
This
again,
episode is
I have
great.
to remind myself like these are not real people, these are not real events because I get so emotionally caught up in it.
So don't we both have that T-shirt? I'm too emotionally attached to fictional characters. It's yeah, definitely one of those. There was that part where he like grabbed his open wound and pulled.
Oh, I
Oh,
screamed. I was like, oh,
oh man. Yeah. I mean, it's the type of fight that we wanted to see with the Hound and Sir Gregor.
please don't even.
Clegane game.
Oh,
Clegane Bowl.
don't even start me on that again.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's like Eric with the queen behind him, like the acting he was doing with just his face.
Mm.
He looked desperate. He's looking behind him to make sure the queen is safe. He's ready to give his life for her, and he's ready to kill his brother for her. And you can see all of the like different emotions going through his face:
Hmm.
desperation, you know, the sorrow, the grief. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, the
there's
anger. Like,
the
how dare you come for
anger
the queen? Like, you know what's right.
and the I don't want to have to do this,
Disappointment. Yeah.
and
Ugh.
if it weren't for the slash on his leg, I wouldn't have known who was who. And I realized like he took off his helmet before he went in, and I
Hmm.
realized they did that on purpose so that we wouldn't know who was
Oh
who while
yeah,
they were fighting.
absolutely. But even Rhaenyra is like, wait, which one is
Right,
Eric?
when her guard comes back, he doesn't even know who to help.
Yeah.
He
Is
has
it
no idea
Sir
who to help.
Lawrence?
Yeah, he doesn't even know who to help, and so he's just standing there helpless, like holding the queen. And I was like, girl, why didn't you run away? But then again, like, does she know that there aren't more waiting outside?
Mm-mm. She has no
Because
idea. He could have
uh,
came with the crew.
yeah, he could have come. Because like, why would he come alone? That's what I would think. Is why would
I
you
mean,
come
and that's what
alone?
everybody asked, right? He asked, why would I go alone? Otto asked, why would you send him alone? Like, sure, the twin swap was a good plan, but whew,
But like
man, like
again,
how do you
what
expect
is
them
the
not both to
escape?
die?
What is the escape with the twin plan? Like,
There's no
okay, yeah, he
escape.
can get in, he can kill her, but how is he getting back out? Like, you know what I mean? Um,
No.
they
I
didn't.
think that I think that Sir Kristen fuckface Cole knew there was no way out, but also he is really the only one who was questioning, well, where the fuck were you that night?
Right.
Two birds, one stone.
And I think that out of Kristen's guilt, he just wanted somebody to pay.
Two twins, one sword.
Oh. Yeah,
Oh.
and he even and Eric was like, "Yes, we're one soul in two bodies." But if I were with him, I would
Mm.
have fled with him or whatever.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's like, oh my God. When
It's devastating.
he after he kills his brother and you're like, you realize, okay, that's Eric who has lived. And he is so stricken that he falls on his sword and kills
You can't
himself.
you can't live with it.
He can't
And
live
that's
another
actually,
moment.
I gotta say, like that as devastating as that part was, I don't know that I ever really imagined what it would look like for somebody to actually fall on their sword. And now that I know, I'm horrified.
Yeah. What's worse, falling on the sword or like seppuku where you just slice your bowels open?
Seppuku.
Yeah, I would think so too. Because at least falling on your sword is probably going directly into your heart if you aim it right.
Mm-hmm. And he looked like he aimed it right.
So yeah, he falls on his sword.
Mm.
So yes, he died crying. He killed his brother, but they didn't kill each other. Um,
Man,
it was devastating. I can't imagine having to kill my sibling,
no, me neither. Me neither.
much less your twin,
Ugh.
especially when you believe. And he even said, like, I still love you.
That was the part that made me shed a tear.
It was heartbreaking.
And it's just like,
I was, and at the same time, I was so looking forward to it,
yeah, you're looking
how it
forward to
would
the
be
fight
done.
because just like, oh wow, we know that this is coming, we know it's in the books, we know this is something that people talk about. But then to see it on
It was
screen was just,
incredibly heartbreaking.
oh man. Man, because the way they say it is just so matter of fact, you know? Like
Yeah,
they either like killed each other and they died holding each other in their arms because it's it's dry because it's a Maester's account.
of course.
You know what I was thinking? Because I had to look up a couple people up in the wiki is I guess the thing that people don't understand is like we're getting Fire and Blood. Like in the book, in Fire and Blood, it's like Maester's accounts, but then we have conflicting ones. Like are we going to see a mushroom, like something played up and just as debauched as a mushroom tail? Did we maybe we get that with Damon and Rhaenyra in the brothel in the first season? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I definitely think they're tying in some of Mushroom's tales. Like last season, when they talked about what happened, why Kristen Cole turned against her, they were saying either the princess tried to get at him and he rejected her, and that's why they had problems with each other, or
Mm,
that the princess rejected that he rejected the princess, or the princess rejected him, and we don't know which one it is. But then in the show, we learn a little bit of both.
yeah.
Like she sleeps with him and he wants more and she doesn't want more. So it turns out, yes, she did actually sleep with
Yeah.
him,
She pulled a
but
Daenerys.
yeah. Um, hold on one second.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at the wiki because I
Hmm.
don't have time to grab Fire and Blood. Um,
Who does? We have
except
autograph copies. They stay on the shelf.
yeah, well, I have another copy too. And I have the ebook because that's just how I am.
Hmm.
And I have the audiobook because
Yeah,
I like to buy in
same.
threes. Um, Septon Eustace's account simply states that the Cargill twins slew each other. According to Singers, the brothers professed their love for each other as they drew their swords. Per Grandmaster Munkins, The Dance of the Dragons, a true telling, Eric and Eric battled for most of an hour. The noise of the fight woke half of Rhaenyra's court, but they could only watch as none could tell which twin was which. In the end,
Mm.
Eric and Eric mortally wounded each other and died in each other's arms, weeping. Finally, per the testimony of Mushroom, the fight lasted only moments, and the brothers did not declare their love, but rather called each other traitor. Eric struck the first mortal blow, nearly cutting off Eric's arm at the shoulder. As Eric collapsed, he grabbed Eric's cloak and pulled him close to stab him in the belly with a dagger. Eric was dead before anyone found them, but Eric took 4 days to die from his gut wound, screaming in pain and cursing his brother the whole time.
Mm.
So, different
All
accounts
those
of
are
what happened.
terrible and
All of
tragic.
them are horrible and tragic. So, the account that now we know what happened according to House of the Dragon, what really happened is they did profess their love. They did call each other traitor. Eric did slay Eric, but then he killed himself.
Mm.
He did not drag it out.
So what we see is that we're going to have a important death every episode.
Yeah,
Oh man. Wow. What an episode. What an episode.
yeah.
I was very satisfied with it. I felt all the things. Like I said, the acting in this episode was absolutely superb. Everything about it, the music, the acting, the sets, just and getting to see a little bit, you know, um, when tragedy strikes is when you see people's true colors, and getting to see how everybody was coping was just so insightful and a really good setup for what we believe will come next. Um, yeah.
You know, a thing that I think would be a cool Easter egg,
Hmm.
according to the text, there's a song called Farewell, My Brother that's about the Cargill twins, Eric and Eric.
Oh,
It would be
yeah.
kind of cool. I mean, I don't know when they would have a singer
Yeah.
around to entertain them since they're like planning a war, but it would be cool to just have someone singing that, like how we got Jenny of Old Stones, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That would be kind of
Even
cool.
if it was just like when the credits rolled.
Yeah. Well, I guess it would have happened this past
Yeah.
episode if it was going to be in the credits.
I
But
wonder
any,
what happens. What do you do with the bodies of these twins now? Do you like, what do you do with them? I guess send them home to their mom. But like,
yeah,
one is honored as a traitor and the other one is honored at what's it? One is a
as a
traitor and gets
hero.
no honors, and the other one is honored as a traitor, or like back in King's Landing, like the opposite. I mean, I guess it's
Yeah, like
fucked up because they
what
both
is
died.
Kristen Cole gonna do now that his plan has failed?
Mm-hmm.
Now they know you sent an assassin, you big dummy. Ugh, what a mess. What a mess. Any last thoughts about the episode before we close up?
um, Fuck Kristen Cole,
Of
of
course, of
course.
course.
Um, I want, like I said, I want to see more Helena. I want to know what happens when it comes back that the twins have both died. I'm excited for the next episode. I didn't get to watch it when it first came out because I was doing family things, but I don't watch the previews for the next show. So there's just things that need to happen. Like what happened? Like now they're truly at war. Do we get to see Harrenhal?
I think we
What is
will.
what
A
does
lot
Aemon
happens at
see?
Harrenhal.
Yeah. Do we see Aemon next? Like, is Massaria actually on the boat now that she's like warned them? Um, I don't know.
Well, we'll see
I don't know because
Daron.
Rain because yeah, we'll see Daron. So we'll go to the place where the Maesters live.
Old Town.
We'll go to Old Town, and yeah, I just want to see what people's reaction be like. What's up with Bela? Is she gonna really leave? What's up with Corlys and Rhaenys? What's up with Alan and Adam? What's up with Hugh? What are the things they're gonna do? Because I feel like they've really managed somehow to manage to squeeze everybody's POVs in such a I mean, an hour is a lot to do that in, and they managed. Or so I feel like this episode was longer. It felt like feature film length, but yeah, I have so many questions, but I'm going to be very patient because Sunday is, it's just a few days
It's
away.
so hard to be patient just because like we know so many of the major events that are
Mm-hmm.
coming. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'm so desperate to see them, and knowing that this is going to play out over a few seasons, it's so
Right.
hard because
It
I want
is.
I want to see it slowly unwrapped, but I
Right.
also just want it now, all of it.
Yeah. I feel like because we know there's a third season coming, because we know the events, like, and because we know that they're not gonna all happen how we have read or imagined them, that at
Mhm.
this point I'm just like, you know what? You dragons, I'm on the dragon in a saddle in armor, because I'm not stupid. Just take me where you want.
Yeah.
I also
I
actually
mean,
want to know how dragons, like, how do they give their dragons direction? Like, what magic is this? But
well, we learned really quickly that the dragons don't always listen.
ooh, I loved that part.
Yeah.
I love that part. She's like, well, once you unleash the dragon, like they have a mind of their own.
They're wild animals.
They're still
They're
wild
never
animals.
truly tamed.
Once they taste, it's like having a great white shark or an orca as a pet,
Or a chimp.
or a chimp.
People get chimps and like they're cute when they're like little, but then they grow up and they're like
Rip your
a little
face
bit,
off.
yeah, they're a little bit crazy and might rip your face off.
Shout out to Dioniso from book club.
Ah,
Wicked Weeds, guys. If you missed that, we did that on our book club a few days
yes, that
ago. So
episode is up. Wicked
episode is
Weeds, Wine on an Empty Stomach. Our next Wine on an Empty Stomach is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. That is July 21st at 2 p.m. You know, follow us on all the things and you'll find those links. Last thoughts, final thoughts before we sign off.
I can't wait for Sunday.
Me too. Like the
Can't
weeks
wait for
feel
Sunday.
so long now that I'm
I
waiting to
can't
get to Sunday.
I want this scene. I want next week's scene to either open up with Damon landing at Harrenhal or Otto and Old Town.
I have a feeling, my guess is that it's gonna open with Daron in Old Town. Like
Mm,
we're just gonna see this white-haired guy
bearing a cup.
doing, yeah, doing whatever it is he's doing over there, and then slowly find out that that's Daron, and then
Yeah.
get into everything else. That's my guess. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would do it.
Yeah.
You know, since I am a showrunner. My secret career.
Man. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm ready. And I got to somehow figure, I mean, I guess my week is really busy, but yeah, I'm ready. Shout out to everyone who listens. Shout out to new people who listen. Shout out to us for still being interested in doing this after.
I love it. I think the show's doing a great job so far. I am well pleased. And as always, it's been a pleasure chatting with you about it.
As always.
I've been Tanya.
I'm always Nikki.
See you next week.
Bye.
To find previous episodes, go to thousandeyespodcast.com. You can also find us on YouTube, A Thousand Eyes in One Podcast. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're on Twitter as Thousand Eyes One, Facebook and Instagram, A Thousand Eyes in One, If you're interested in our speculative fiction book club, that is Wine on an Empty Stomach on Instagram.